Why, hello there. So today I want to talk to you about some basic survival tips for moving to Japan. And I really want to focus on the first month or so after you arrive. For me, and I think for a lot of other people, this was the most stressful and overwhelming time. So I want to tell you some things that I did that made it easier for me, and also some things that I wish that I'd done. As always, I'm by no means an expert, and all of this is based solely on my own personal experience, but I hope that it'll be at least a little bit helpful for you anyway. So, without further ado, let's get started. Let's start with something tangible and super achievable: taking names. Whether you're coming here for work or for study, you're going to be introduced to a whole lot of new people right after you arrive. And even if you're the best names person in the world, unlike me, it would be unrealistic to expect yourself to remember all of these new names right off the bat. Instead, start surreptitiously writing down names. Personally, I work at two different schools, so I had two different lists so that I could remember who was working where. Later on, when you're less tired and stressed, you can come back to these lists and start matching faces to names. This is something that really saved me a lot of embarrassment and awkward conversations in the long run. The next one is pretty self-explanatory, but it's do as people do. Is no one else sitting on the differently colored train seat? Don't sit there. Did people start randomly clapping after an announcement that you didn't understand in the office? Clap and smile with them. It doesn't matter if you don't understand right away, but it's important to join in and to be seen to be joining in. So observe people closely and try to copy what they do. This is a quick and easy way to A, not offend people, and B, learn about Japanese culture. So the gist of this one is, when in Japan, do as Japanese people do. Within reason, of course. Next, don't be afraid to ask questions. Of course, don't just ask anything that pops into your head right away. Make sure that it's a good time and that people aren't busy. But within reason, ask questions to your heart's content. This goes doubly so for anyone who asks you a lot of questions. If they're asking about your home country and language, chances are they want to communicate with you, and they'll be more than happy to help you out with anything you're confused by. People are also often really appreciative that you want to learn more about Japanese language and culture, so don't be afraid to ask. As you get to know people, you can also start to cater your questions. For example, I've asked my school's tea ceremony leader a lot of questions about tea ceremony. It's got to the point where she'll bring in things to show me or talk to me about when I haven't even asked. So pay attention to people's interests and passions, because these are the things that they'll really love to tell you all about. There's a Japanese phrase, kuki o yomu, that literally translates to read the air. Basically, it means to be able to understand the atmosphere around you, and it's very important here. In Japanese culture, a lot of things go unsaid, and that can be difficult to get used to as someone raised in a Western background. However, it's very important to understand this and act accordingly. Listen to different types of silence and learn what they feel like. Learn to recognize different tones of voice, even if you don't understand the words. Don't worry too much if you're not great at this now. If you're not really confident in your Japanese language abilities, you'll learn to pick up on other types of language, including this air language, very quickly. So don't worry too much, it's just something to be aware of. This next one's a bit of a silly one, but if you're a super sarcastic person, like me, be aware that even among Japanese people who speak English very well, English sarcasm doesn't always go over so great. For example, last year my desk got moved to the opposite side of the staff room, and when I sat down, I said something like, "Wow, this side of the staff room is so new and exciting, it's great." And my coworker looked at me like I was crazy and said, "Really? I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same as the other side." So that shut me up really quick. And this has happened a lot more than once. So I've pretty much trained myself to just not make sarcastic comments automatically, which is probably a good thing anyway. But be aware that if that sounds like you, it's not just you, and try not to feel too awkward about it. And finally, don't be too hard on yourself. I think it's really easy to slip into this mindset of, wow, I have this amazing opportunity, and if I'm not ecstatic 100% of the time, then I'm wasting it. And that's just not realistic. Japan isn't a magical country where you're going to be happy all of the time, and it's totally okay to feel homesick or lonely or sad or whatever. It's going to happen, and hopefully you won't feel that way for too long, but when you do, don't feel guilty about it and don't beat yourself up. Give yourself a break and relax. Okay, I think that's about it for this video. So as always, if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them for you. Apart from that, thank you so much for watching and I will talk to you soon. Bye!